Joseph Focus live from the craft at the Durban Exhibition Centre in the midst of Durban summer soak.
Good evening, Eunice. Quite strange, but quite exciting. Very exciting souk. It's my second night here, and place is pumping, place is humming, a lot of activity, a lot of people. So if you're not here, get down. It's a lot happening here. Thanks for the invite.
No, thanks, Sam. Sam, before I get to chat with Sheikh Nur Ashraf on the current situation in Palestine and from an Islamic perspective, how he sees it, I know there were talks of a ceasefire, and I know every time there was talks about it, America vetoed it. Perhaps you just want to give our listeners an update on the situation.
There was a sponsored proposition made by, I'm told, the UAE and the Security Council, which I think we've said to the listeners probably for the umpteenth time, that has what we call permanent security members, namely the USA, Russia, China, France, Germany, England, and I think most notably Japan, because they're the founders of the League of Nations. And so any proposition, sponsored proposition before Security Council has to have the endorsement, in this instance of the US, in most instances of the US. And the US, because of the Jewish lobby, the guy who's chair of the Senate is a guy called Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is a Jew. Nancy Pelosi is Italian Jew. She's a former speaker. And so there are many Jewish lobby in the US, and they make primarily the decision when it comes to the disbursements or the allocation of military equipment, military aid, military funding. So that's where I don't think United States as a country is in agreement with this. I think it's just the government of Joe Biden, which has its main executives, in other words, people who make the final call, primarily Jewish. And so the sad reality is that resolution took quite a few days, was deferred or delayed by 3 times until there was a watered down resolution. And that resolution it started from ceasefire and ended at humanitarian aid. And the US is clear, and they've said they will veto anything that has any sign of a ceasefire, the word ceasefire. And the only thing they'll agree to now is humanitarian aid, or the activities surrounding, or logistics surrounding humanitarian aid. And secondly, in America right now, Anthony Blinken has a meeting with a guy called Don Rema, who's the head of, he's not the head of Mossad, but he's one of the heads of intelligence of Israel, former diplomat. So they're currently talking right now as to what the next phase, that's what they call it. So they don't call it what the next step is, but the next phase will be in the how to deal with the Gaza, in particular the what they call Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran conflict. The challenge with Iran is as follows. America controls, people don't understand this, so hopefully this will be a good lesson. All international banking goes through a system called SWIFT. All SWIFT is controlled by is facilitated by the King Report, King 1, King 2, the Basel 1, Basel 2, I think it is. But everything's controlled by the US. All money anywhere in the world is controlled through the United States of America, the UK, France, Germany, and all the big boys. So that is where the dynamics are. Iran is sitting with billions, tens of billions of dollars that has been confiscated by the USA. So Iran is bankrupt, literally. And so Biden's done a deal with them. In fact, Donald Trump froze the money. And Biden's done a deal to release some money in tranches, but on conditions. And so they're very reluctant to want to make moves because they need the money. One, and two, their economy is dependent on America, which is the biggest. If you take America, Japan, Australia, Canada, France, EU, you add them all up together, they literally constitute, I would say, 2/3 of the global economy. So Iran is reliant on funds to help their people. Like South Africa is reliant. We have all the policies in the world, but we can't do absolutely nothing because we're reliant on foreign, what we call foreign exchange. So we're reliant on selling natural resources like coal, like diamonds, like copper, like manganese, like iron ore, like citrus, because that brings money into the country, which enables us to build houses, to do roads, to do whatever. So that's Iran's problem, and that is why Iran are literally handcuffed. They can't do nothing. So that's the reality. So that Security Council resolution was basically how to get aid in, and nothing to do with the impact of the war, and nothing to do with how bad people are being mercilessly slaughtered by the what we call the Israelis, or what other people call the Zionists. They're being slaughtered, and that's a sad reality. So
it's a genocide.
In fact, it's catastrophic. I think millions of people have been displaced. I saw it this morning. There's about 500 and something thousand houses that have gone.
So people have been rendered penniless in view of the fact that they've just been displaced as genocide. They've been moved to a safer place, and many of them who are traveling have been dealt with by the IDF. But also, I know there are sort of ground warfare that's taking place, and there's a lot of casualties on the part of the Israelis as well, which is basically not being expounded properly. But I want to bring in Sheikh now. Sheikh,